I know that I don't usually make videos like this, but I felt like it. Ignore the fact that I sound like an 8-year-old, and if I like stutter or anything, or if there's any background noise. So yeah. I'm going to be explaining basically all of what I have developed of my book series Tribal so far. Only around half of book 1 is out on my Quotev. It's unedited though, so there will be plot holes and stuff, so yeah. Originally, Tribal focuses on these silly little groups that an elementary school does, like, generationally, every year with the 5th graders. And it's also vaguely based off of something that I did do in 4th grade, but it isn't, like, the plot has nothing to do with it. It's just the general idea. Book 1 starts out with introducing a character named Alina, who, very soon after that will be, crowned the leader of all tribes for that year, after everyone else has. She also decides to allow her best friend Kayla to lead along with her, as Kayla hasn't been allowed in any other tribes because she just didn't feel like she belonged in each one, and she wanted to be with Alina. It introduces each tribe, which is the Fearless Felines, the Courageous Canines, the Camouflage Chameleons, the Terrifying Turtles, and the Dangerous Dinos. Later, it also shows that there was a tribe that had been abandoned within the last few years, known as the Wise Wolves, that will be rebuilt in book 6 or 7. One day during recess, Alina and Kayla decide to just kind of look around a bit, since they want to just kind of see how the tribes are doing, and it's the first week of the Fearless Felines leader hands them this scroll-like thing that has a map and a message, which talks about something known as the Secret Grove, which is where the gems are hidden. So then Alina and Kayla go over to the secret room where they find this lunchbox that has a faded character on it. They open it up and there's a really bright light that allows them to accidentally, temporarily go into the past where the tribes kind of started. Well, not exactly started, as far as they knew started, around 20 years before this takes place. So, eventually they manage to get out of the past and see 7 glowing gems, all different colors. And they look at them, wondering what they are. So they decide to announce to everyone that they've found them, and then the Courageous Canines leader, Kevin, wants to know more about them and wants to take them from them. Alina says that she'll only give a gem to a group if they are trusted enough, which she says so far she only trusts Sahara's group, the Fearless Felines, because of helping her out with this. So then Kevin gets mad at this, along with quite a bit of other tribe members. They want to also have the gems, because they didn't think it was fair if only one group got them. Then Kevin decided to try to fight for them, which ended up shattering all the gems into a lot of pieces, which everyone tried to get a few, but mainly Alina and Kevin managed to get them. Even Sahara's gem was shattered slightly because she had dropped it. Recess ends that day and they have to kind of break it up, but they decide right before that they will go to a local park known as Evergreen Park, where they will settle things out. This, however, was a very bad idea, and everyone ended up fighting. Surprisingly, the parents didn't point anything out, as they either completely just drove away or they weren't watching. Before that, Alina had realized that these gems did have magical powers, and that they could, as far as she knew, could, allow them to shapeshift. Because something almost like a voice in her head. Voices mentioned, shut up. Anyways, a voice in her head told her that, that they did have that power. And she told everyone about that before this huge battle thing started, so yeah, that happened. They became furries, not exactly, they kind of just had animal-like features, kind of like the original tribe members, who I'll talk about later. So Alina gets super anxious about this because she did not intend for this to happen, and she thought that she could trust her fellow tribe members to not fight, even after she kind of ordered them to not fight, but they still fought. So she kind of just broke down a little bit while everyone was fighting because she felt like there was nothing she could do. So then both Kayla and Ava, which Ava is the camouflage chameleon's leader, ended up comforting her. And then after that, they decided to see more of what was going on. And it was mainly Kevin fighting the other ones, other than them fighting each other. So they decided to go down there and try to fight Kevin, kind of, but more of talk him out of it, as that's what Alina wanted. But Kayla decided to attack him, which resulted in him fighting back and causing her to go blind in one eye, which she had also gotten quite a few other injuries along with that, causing her to fall unconscious temporarily. So Ava, I think, had called 911, and they all untransformed. But they did, they were back to normal, and so Kayla was brought to the hospital, and again, Alina just felt like it was all her fault. And Ava did try to comfort her, but it wasn't really any use. A few days had passed since the injury, and then Alina hears a voice coming from one of the gem shards. She realizes that it is the gem who is talking, who they don't really remember much, other than they have some kind of mission they need to do, that they have magic, and that they think they're the creator of the gems. They aren't exactly sure, so they, since they don't remember their name, they decide to just be called the creator. Alina asks more about the gem and what its capabilities are, which is really everything, along with having 5 wishes per person. And so she decided that she did not know what to wish for yet. As she was talking to the creator, she heard someone call her name, which turned out to be Gavin, the Dangerous Dinos leader. So she went over to that camp, that area, the territory, and saw this weird portal-like thing, which was a portal, and it was caused by one of the gem shards that group did have at the time. That's when they realize more about the gems and how powerful they truly are. After this, Alina asks a lot more from the creator, who tries to answer them all, even though they can't really remember much. As far as they know, they think the original tribes are only a few years back, like around 20 years, when in the truth it has been a thing for around 100 years. That is also when, right after that, Alina finds out what she wants to wish for, which is for Kayla to get a lot better, a lot faster, and be able to come back to school as soon as possible. This is also when she has sudden weird feelings when she thinks about Kayla. She has a crush on her. Then literally the next day, Kayla comes back to school, but she has an eye patch on the eye that she got blinded in, and she was really insecure about the injury and stuff. So she just kind of wore an eye patch the whole time. Designs that I do have of her right now do have her without the eye patch, and just with the scar, because in a later chapter she decides to remove it. So Alina tells Kayla about all of this stuff, and then Kevin decides to start a rebellion, I think. There's a lot of stuff that I forget that I don't feel like going back to look for. This is kind of just a recap of what I have so far and what is going to happen. But, then Alina, her new mission was to get all of the gems back and fix them all, which would probably take forever. So, she then, tries to get them back, which takes quite a while, but she doesn't eventually manage to get them all back, and manages to fix the leader's gem, which is the one that the creator was currently in. She had also found something known as the Book of Gems, which had a ton more information on what the tribes truly were and what the gems truly were, but there's still so much more that hasn't been discovered yet. After that, it's the last day before the week before fall break, which Alina wants to be able to fix all of this before fall break. So on that weekend, she's just really bored and does not know what to do. So she decides to have Kayla over. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention that both Alina and Kayla got huge crushes on each other. But yeah, so, and this was before they got together. So they decided to go both to Alina's house, where they kind of just talked about what they were gonna do for a while, but then just they eventually just hugged, and then I think it was Alina who accidentally blurted out that she liked Kayla, liked her. And then Kayla said that she also likes Alina. And it's just kind of an awkward moment of silence for quite a while, which they're just unable to speak to each other. They decide that maybe the next day that they could go on a date together or something, which they do. And they go to the movies, I think. And then the weekend eventually ends, and it's time to focus back onto the gems and all of that stuff. She manages to find out how to fix all of the other gems, and once she does, it was too late. Kevin had found a way to manage to use the gem's power even without having the gems with him. And he had planned to attack the rest of the tribes to destroy them fully. And that's when Alina made another wish for the creators to be able to have a humanoid form so they could fight. And that's when they are sort of revealed to be someone else. Their human form had shortish black hair, elk antlers, and a darker green dress that they had been wearing, which I'll explain more of who they are later. So they decide to fight Kevin for a while until he just gives up because he has just a weird moment of just not wanting to truly do this. But he tries to change his mind. After that, Alina decides to ban him and a few of his closest followers, ban him from the tribes. And at that time, it was a pretty awkward time for the tribes because the Courageous Canine's tribe was just kind of destroyed. And then all break happened. That is around when book 1 ends, but I have most of the story for book 1 developed already. The next of what I'm gonna describe is just vague stuff that I already have ideas of. Book 2 starts out with the creator explaining who they really are, which they remember much more since they have gotten back into their human form. They know that their name is actually Elka, and that they were the leader of the original tribe, known as the Forest Children, which I'll get more into detail later. So they remember that they have this mission about some kind of gods to bring peace among this world. They know that they have to find the other original tribe members who should still be alive at that time. Book 3 focuses back on Kevin, and that he's trying to still just get rid of the tribes because of the trauma he actually had. And book 4 is kind of the same with that, but that also starts to get into some other stuff. Book 5 is about Kevin's redemption, where he realizes he's actually wrong about this, and that he doesn't actually want to harm anyone, and that he has been doing much more harm than what he thought was good. So, then book 6 focuses on how they are starting to trust him more, and he is allowed back as the Courageous Canine's leader, along with his followers allowed to join the tribe again. And then they decide to start to find the other tribe members, of the original tribe. Book 7 also focuses on rebuilding the Wise Wolves tribe, which happens towards the beginning, and then most of the book focuses on finding the original tribe members and then storing their souls within the gems so that the gods can have their power again to bring full peace among the tribes. Book 8 is when they realize that they've been betrayed by the gods. The gods weren't exactly actually gods, and they weren't good. They were actually evil, and this was all a part of their plan that they've been having for around 100 years. and then there's like an apocalypse kind of thing that happens, and all of the tribe members work together to eventually stop it, which they eventually manage to do, and then like some more stuff happens that I haven't really developed yet. Now to the lore. The original tribe consisted of like 7 members. Elka, who represented elk and the elk god. Tigera, who represented the cat god. Koyon, who represented the dog god. Alagon, who represented the dinosaur god. Foxen, who represented the wolf god. And finally, Serpentana, who represented the chameleon god. And they were all members of the original tribe, and they had annual rituals that had to do with the gods. They didn't really have a specific mission other than what the gods had told them to do. And the gods eventually had told them one day that they wanted to bring peace among the world, and that one day there would be a terrible darkness that they had to stop. They said that one day they will all have to be, like, their souls would all have to be stored in gems to manage to stop this darkness. One day when Elka was around 14 years old, they had been walking towards the store where they had been like stealing from in order to get food from, because they were technically homeless. They did not have access to like money at all because they were all children too. So one day Elka had just been trying to cross the street again, and they had this invisibility spell on them that they used so they wouldn't get caught. And it was also around midnight when this happened. They got hit by a car accidentally, and the invisibility wore off, and the driver didn't look that much and just thought it was a deer or something, because Elka's antlers were mainly all that was in the driver's vision. I don't really know what happened with the driver, but yeah. The other tribe members heard what happened and they ran over there. Elka's with Elka's last few moments, they told them to store their soul into one of the gems so that they could continue to live on and help out the gods. This is when they forgot everything and they became what in book 1 was known as the creator. So after that, the tribe had been just really out of order and just kind of bad. So, they had still done rituals, but without Elka, it just had been bad. One day, the city had decided to build a school exactly where they had been living all that time. No one knows what happened to the original tribe members after that. Did they die? Did they run off somewhere? Or did they just become one with the gems again? No one knows, as of then. And that school that was built is the one that in the current time is where Alina and the other tribe members go to. There's still a ton of what's developed. I don't really know. I just felt like explaining what I have so far. So yeah. I'm not exactly sure when each book will be published, but I'm hoping that the lore book will be published after book 4, even if I do finish the writing before I finish, like, book 4 or whatever. So yeah, the part of my book that I think I already mentioned this, but the part that I do have on my Kotub is completely unedited and only the rough draft, so there's gonna be like a ton of plot holes and stuff. But yeah, like if you do want to like read what I have so far, that's kind of just like a vague recap of what's going to happen. So yeah.